think my pops playing jazz made me want to get into music, take me to studios on stage and show me, be your own boss and be creative and make uh history basically. So, hip hop was my generation's music. And the thing that is a blessing to me is that I can put some music together and people can appreciate it. And man, that's all I want.
Ever since day one, we was on the bunk beds. He used to wake up out the bottom bunk and write rhymes and wake me up out the top bunk and ask me, how did this sound? And, so I was criticizing his rhymes since we was like 10 years old, 11 years old.
So right here is like where Nas sat for like some of his first ciphers, some first freestyles.
Yeah, definitely. All the freestyles. We used to all sit around right here, close our eyes. We'd be all smoking weed. First time weed smokers.
Okay.
Nas
Some
kicking
that mid-grade
rhymes.
Raleigh.
Yeah, no, we had the best in the world. Tons of weed right here. This was the best Nas ciphers in the world. And AZ. AZ came to the bridge and was rapping right here. We'd be sitting from upstairs, downstairs.
Since the early 90s, he's been right there beside Nas, never missing a moment. Fans saw him as a standout Braveheart and one of the most talked about names in Queensbridge. When people speak on real street figures from the projects, Jungle always comes up first. He's not just Nas's little brother, not even close. Many believe he's been the main enforcer from day one, holding things down behind the scenes. He stayed in the cut, always watching Nas back, so any beef Nas had became his too. No hesitation. When things got tense, Jungle stepped forward every time. He clashed with names like Tupac, Jay-Z, and the Diplomats, and stories even say he went at NBA players over issues tied to his brother. Serious business. You can see it in his eyes. There's history there, no need for words. His name carries weight in the streets, and his loyalty to his brother is something nobody questions. This is the story of Jungle. Before getting deeper, make sure you hit subscribe and tap that like button. These documentaries keep coming strong, and there's a lot more on the way this year. No slowing down. Jabari Jones was born March 1st, 1979 in Queensbridge, New York. His father, Charles Jones III, came from Natchez, Mississippi, and moved to New York City back in 1964. His mother, Fanny, worked for the U.S. Postal Service and came from North Carolina. Fanny and Charles met in the early 70s at a rhythm and blues venue in Brooklyn when Charles was in the Navy. The two got married not long after and welcomed their first son, Nasir, in 1973. By around 1977, the family settled into a two-bedroom apartment in Queensbridge houses. This place wasn't small. It was the biggest housing project in the United States, with 96 buildings, over 3,000 units, and thousands of residents packed into one area. Growing up in Queensbridge during the 80s felt exciting for young Jabari. There were kids everywhere, always something happening, and lessons coming from both his father and his older brother, Nasir. But things took a turn early. By the time Jabari was just 6, his parents had split. Charles had a reputation for being a smooth talker who didn't always stay loyal, and eventually he moved out to Harlem. With no father at home, Nasir had to step up fast as the man of the house, and that shift gave both brothers more freedom than most kids their age. Jabari leaned into sports, staying active, while Nasir got pulled into a rising sound taking over the streets, hip-hop. Around that time, MC Shan, also from Queensbridge, landed a deal with MCA Records in 1985. A year later, he dropped The Bridge, produced by Marley Marl, another Queensbridge name making major moves. Marley Marl was dominating the New York scene and was part of the Juice Crew, shaping the sound of that era. Artists like Roxanne Shante and Intelligent Hoodlum were also putting Queensbridge on the map. Seeing all this pushed Nasir to chase it too, and by the late 80s, he had stepped into the rap game. His close friend, Willie Graham, who lived upstairs, became his DJ, and the two would practice for hours in Will's living room. While that was going on, Jabari was outside living like a regular kid, staying active and focused on sports. He went to junior high school 204 and spent most of his time playing basketball. Nasir would come home with cassette tapes full of recordings, while Jabari showed up with trophies he earned on the court. He played with teams like Riverside and Aim High, even winning an AAU tournament. Jabari hit different basketball camps and went up against future NBA names like Stephon Marbury and Rafer Alston. People said he had real talent, quick moves, solid handles, and he could score heavy. There were games where he dropped 40 points, no problem. But once he started facing bigger, stronger players, doubts about going all the way in basketball started creeping in.
Stereo right here and then double cassette tape. I got up, I was tired of his music, and I put my hands inside the thing and snatched them out.
That's crazy. Because you wanted to like watch the Knicks or something like that, right?
Broke all my trophies. He broke everything. He went crazy. That's when I realized how much, I realized how much it meant to him that music was everything. After that, I just helped him.
Around that same time, he made a major decision and left school, following a similar path as his older brother Nasir, who had also dropped out earlier. By 1992, both Nasir and Jabari were deep in the streets. At just 18, Nasir, now known as Nasty Nas, was gaining serious attention as a rising rapper. After appearing on Main Source's Breaking Adam's album on the track Live at the Barbecue, his name started buzzing all over New York City.
There's a lot of people around that want to kill each other that just got together that day, just for the pictures and shit. So that was a crazy day in the hood. Everybody got their turn in Queensbridge for something to happen. Some of them people gonna catch murders, some of them people gonna get beat up, some of them people gonna go to jail, but all of them people gonna have a story.
While Nasir stayed focused on music, Jabari moved differently, spending time with older figures around Queensbridge. He often stayed close to Nasir and Will, moving with them like equals. They shared that tight bond, always around each other, building their own lifestyle and experiences together. Jabari wasn't just around, he was Nasir's biggest supporter and also the one who would speak up if something didn't sound right. He heard a lot of Nasir's early lyrics before anyone else did. Around this time, rumors were spreading that Nasir and his circle were involved in dealing drugs in Queensbridge. Nasir stood out, always dressed fresh with clean sneakers, while his friend Will even rocked a big gold chain with a Mercedes medallion, flashy and hard to miss. Their crew made the 40th side of Queensbridge look powerful, like everything was under control. On May 23, 1992, Nasir, Will, and another friend went to the movies to watch Alien 3. After the film, they came back to Queensbridge, planning a big barbecue for their side of the projects. Will started going around collecting money from people outside to put it together. But things turned tense fast. One woman believed Will was trying to pressure people for money, and it turned into a fight. In the chaos, his gold chain snapped, and the situation got out of hand. She ran off and came back with her brother and her child's father, both looking for Will. They ran into 13-year-old Jabari and asked where he was. Jabari misled them, sending them the wrong way. He quickly warned Will, but Will didn't back down. Moments later, the men returned and spotted him. Shots rang out. Will was hit multiple times, and Jabari was caught in the chaos, injured as he tried to get away. Nasir rushed outside and saw his younger brother on the ground. Jabari, still young, wasn't even thinking about himself. He was worried about his mother finding out and told Nasir not to say anything. Then the reality hit. Nasir saw his close friend gone. That moment changed everything on the 40th side of Queensbridge forever.
It goes off. A lot of niggas dead, a lot of niggas locked up. I bust mine for real. Shit is for real. It's not a fluke. I really shoot. You know what I'm saying? I don't give a f. Everybody know. Anybody that knew me, they know how I get down. They always knew how I get down. I don't give a f. I ain't no nice guy or nothing. You know what I'm saying? I'm nice to the not no nigga. Nigga come around me, you get hurt, anything can happen to you. You know what I'm saying?
You got any partners that got shot out here, man?
Oh, definitely, man. I got shot out here. My man Ill Will got killed out here. I was with him talking when he got killed. You know what I'm saying? My man Neen grabbed the gun. He said, wait, that's the guy that makes Biggie Smalls beat. I was gonna say, look out, Wiz.
Nah, he told the story how I stopped.
After getting shot and seeing his close friend lose his life, Jabari was deeply shaken. This wasn't something a young teen could just brush off. That moment stuck with him, and by 1993, his behavior started to shift in a serious way. He began carrying and using weapons, and people across Queensbridge started to fear his name. The 40th side became a place many avoided, and Jabari was a big reason why. At just 14 years old, He had built a reputation tied to violence. Stories spread that he had fired shots at parties and park events, targeted outsiders, and even committed robberies around the neighborhood. Things were moving fast and not in a good direction. At the same time, his brother Nasir was rising, signing with Columbia Records and working on his debut album, Illmatic. Even while chasing music, there were still reports of both brothers being involved in street activity during that period.
Everything will happen to each individual in that picture, one by one. He's doing 15 years. He's fighting a murder. He's doing life in prison. He just got locked up, no bail. My man just, he just did some tough load of time in North Carolina, breaks, crazy ass life. He do a bunch of time in and out of jail.
Nasir was still living in Queensbridge, sharing a room with Jabari, but his status in the neighborhood was growing fast. People were starting to look at him as a leading figure. Meanwhile, more talent was coming out of Queensbridge. Havoc, from the 41st side, teamed up with Prodigy to form Mobb Deep. They had just secured a deal with 4th and Beway Records and dropped their first album, Juvenile Hell. The neighborhood itself was split between the 40th and 41st sides, and tension between them was real. Havoc once described the 41st as more intense, while the 40th had a different reputation. Havoc's younger brother, Killer Black, was also known for reckless behavior, similar to Jabari, with stories linking him to shootings as well. Even with that tension, both sides would unite when it mattered most, especially when it came to supporting Nasir's music career.
It's so up just to see what happened, you know what I'm saying? Like, it makes me really realize if it wasn't for music, you would have told a story about that kid too on the bench. If it wasn't for music, you would have went along that line telling that story, or maybe I wouldn't even been in that picture. That's not what I wanted to see happen to nobody in that picture. You know, I wanted the best for my friends, you know what I'm saying? So
at that time, he was getting more backing across Queensbridge than almost anyone else, even groups like Mobb Deep. Other rising names like Nature and Cormega were building buzz too, but many in the projects still saw Nasir as the top talent coming out of Queensbridge. His name was leading the conversation everywhere. On April 19, 1994, everything changed. Nasir didn't just prove he was the top MC in Queensbridge. People everywhere started calling him the best in the entire rap game. No debate. But for Jabari, success didn't automatically mean a new life. He had seen it before, rappers getting deals but still staying in the same environment. Names like MC Sean, Marley Marl, Roxanne Shante, Intelligent Hoodlum, and even Havoc had deals, yet still remained in the projects, surviving however they could. That was the reality Jabari knew, and it didn't shift overnight. At the same time, Jabari had built a reputation as Nasir's protector. With him and others around, Nasir could move through Queensbridge without worry.
I still have dreams about being here. I still have dreams like I'm here. I don't know what it means. I feel like every hood is haunted by the brothers that walk through there. You know, the essence of them is still here. It helped make this place what it is. They kind of like govern it spiritually, you know what I mean? So you always remember the homies. You always remember the ones that meant a lot, that died for even this neighborhood, that died for us to be here.
In 1995, Nasir started working on his second album, It Was Written, putting Queensbridge right back in the spotlight. Around that same time, Mobb Deep dropped The Infamous, showing a darker, raw side of the neighborhood that caught everyone's attention. Then 1996 came, and the energy in hip-hop turned tense. The East Coast versus West Coast conflict was at its peak, and Nasir found himself caught in the middle. After It Was Written dropped, he became a target, especially from Tupac Shakur, who had just been released from prison. Tupac fired off diss tracks aimed at multiple East Coast names, including Nasir, Jay-Z, and Mobb Deep, making the situation even more intense. On September 4th, 1996, the MTV Video Music Awards took place at Radio City Music Hall in New York City. It was Tupac's first time back in New York after joining Death Row Records. That night, Nasir and Jabari didn't come alone. They showed up with a strong Queensbridge presence, and the tension in the air was impossible to ignore. Just days later, Tupac Shakur was shot in Las Vegas and later passed away, shocking the entire music world. Then, only 6 months after that, the notorious B.I.G. was killed in Los Angeles. Two huge losses back to back. Many people point to that moment as when hip-hop took a heavy hit and things were never the same again. Through the late 90s, Jabari was still active in Queensbridge, staying deep in the streets. Stories linked him to shootings, drug activity, and a reckless lifestyle that kept his name buzzing. At one point, Nasir even shared that Jabari went after people to recover Prodigy's chain after it had been taken by someone in the neighborhood, showing just how serious things could get. Around this time, Nasir launched Ill Will Records, building something of his own. Jabari, now widely known as Jungle, stepped into music as part of the group Bravehearts. Alongside him were members like Wiz and Horse, forming a crew that started catching attention fast. In 2000, Bravehearts recorded their biggest track, Uchi Wally. The song dropped the next year as part of the QB's finest album and climbed to number 26 on the Billboard Hot 100. Major exposure. This was when many people first heard Jungle on a track, and his verse stood out strong, with fans saying he delivered the best part of the song. That momentum had people watching closely. Fans started believing Bravehearts could be the next big wave out of Queensbridge, and Jungle quickly built a following. A lot of listeners were waiting on a solo project from him, not just because of his connection to Nasir, but because of the reputation he carried. Reports said labels were interested and deals were possible, but Nasir wanted everything kept in-house under Ill Will Records, keeping it all tight within the circle. That decision reportedly caused tension inside the group, leading to Horse leaving Bravehearts in the summer of 2001. Around the same time, Brooklyn rapper Jay-Z took shots at Queensbridge's biggest names, Nas and Mobb Deep, during Summer Jam, putting the whole area under pressure and drawing serious attention. The battle between Jay-Z and Nas quickly became one of the most talked about clashes in hip-hop history. In the end, many felt Nas came out on top, and the biggest relief was that things didn't turn deadly, especially during such a tense era. Not long after, Nas found himself in another conflict, this time with Harlem rapper Cam'ron and the Dipset crew. Once again, Jungle and the Bravehearts stood close, making sure Nas had support around him at all times. Following the success of Illmatic, things took a heavy turn for the Jones family. They lost their mother Fanny to breast cancer, and that loss hit deep. The family dynamic changed, and even though it was a painful time, both Nas and Jungle kept pushing forward with their work. By 2003, Bravehearts were finally putting together their debut album Bravehearted, but the group had changed. Now it was mainly Jungle and Wiz holding it down. Around this period, reports surfaced about Jungle being involved in a serious nightclub incident in Philadelphia after a conflict with a group of men, adding more controversy to his name. In 2005, Nas married R&B singer Kellis, and according to reports, this is when his relationship with Jungle started to weaken. Tension grew after a disagreement involving Kellis, and it led to the brothers not speaking for years, something that surprised a lot of people watching from the outside. This shift meant a whole different lifestyle, less traveling, fewer distractions, and more responsibility falling on Jungle. In 2008, Bravehearts dropped their second album, Bravehearted 2, under Money Machine and Ill Will Records. But the project didn't make much noise and ended up falling flat with fans. Nas only appeared on one track, which had people talking even more. While Nas was enjoying success and moving into a better life, Jungle stayed rooted in Queensbridge, still surrounded by the same environment. Stories continued to link him to street activity, showing how different their paths had become over time. Years later, things finally came back together between the brothers. Nas pulled up to Queensbridge in a Bentley to pick up Jungle, an image that said everything without needing words. In 2014, Jungle appeared in the documentary Time is Illmatic, and critics pointed out that his presence brought real emotion to the film, calling him the heart of the story. Even after all these years, Jungle has stayed low-key, never chasing the spotlight. He's still around Queensbridge, still respected, and still standing solid as his brother's protector. His name continues to carry serious weight. If you made it this far, hit that like button, subscribe, share this video, and drop a comment. More stories like this are on the way.